In the second to last regular season game of the year, the Braves fall, and they fall big, losing here to Hyannis 10-2. A two-person post-game Tomahawk Talk, Calvin Christoforo and Daniel Coates, breaking down the Braves' loss here in Hyannis. And Daniel, it just really didn't start off a good night. Kelsey Ward gave up 2 runs in the second inning. No, 2 runs in the first inning, 2 runs in the third inning, 2 runs in the fourth inning. Before you know it, it was a 6-0 Harbor Hawks lead, and they really just never looked back in this game.
No, they never looked back. The entire time, you knew it just wasn't the Braves' day. It was a different lineup, not necessarily a game where we were putting our normal lineup against Cotuit that we did. We were giving some guys that have question marks moving into the postseason some opportunities, and just a game where we were running on such a high from our win at against Cotuit at Durham Park that I think we were bound to kind of be humbled a little bit against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks team, who this is their last game at home at McKeon Park, and they really have nothing to lose tonight. So they came out, and you knew it wasn't your night when Eric Adler gives up a run off of his 15th appearance, and that, I believe that's his second run allowed in 15 appearances for our dynamic closer. So just wasn't our night, 10-2, and Harvey Shapiro made a few moves and a few changes in the lineup. I'm sure that's going to change if we go to Falmouth. Most certainly it will change in our first game of the best-of-3 series against Cotuit on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. He was trying out new pieces in the lineup, seeing what he could use in the playoff push. Someone that really stands out to me, though, Zach Agnos. Not for what he did at the plate tonight, but what he did on the mound. Came in the 7th inning, got 2 outs to end the frame, was sitting, 92-94, had a great wipeout slider. He looked really good on the mound.
He looked really good. I was shocked. I saw 93. I even told him 94 just because I assumed he could hit 94 if he can hit 93. But he looked great. You know, he was recruited out of and even got some MLB attention, some professional baseball attention for his pitching coming out of high school. And, you know, just for him to come in and be a guy that out of the bullpen who maybe we could see in the postseason. I don't think we will. Tyler Stewart, really, other than Zach Agnos, is the guy who impressed me. He has all of the stuff. He has the breaking ball. He has the off-speed pitch. He has the high-velocity fastball from the 6'9" frame that he's throwing from. As long as he hits the strike zone, he could be one of the best relievers that we're going to see in postseason play. It was great to see him and great to give Kelsey Ward some action, although it wasn't necessarily his night. It was his first opportunity to go past 1 inning pitched for this Braves team in his 3rd appearance. Wasn't necessarily his night, but again, all around it wasn't the Braves' night. So
yeah, it wasn't. But let's just touch on Tyler Stewart a little bit more. He looked really good. 2 1/3 innings, didn't give up a run. Do you think we're going to see him in the playoffs?
I think we most certainly will. And I think that, you know, Jasek and those guys that are just new to this team, I think are going to be a big addition. I think those were the additions that we needed. I think Tyler Stewart just needed a little bit of comfort, needed a couple more appearances. He looked great tonight, and I was really impressed not just by the fastball, because we knew he had the fastball, but his breaking ball looked as slick as ever. It was really working well into the strike zone. The one main thing for him was really just hitting the strike zone, making sure he had good command of the ball. Tonight it looked like he had that, and that's why I think Harvey Shapiro probably is thinking maybe not necessarily the first game reliever, but a reliever nonetheless that you're going to have to think about moving into the postseason, especially if we go to Game 3 or maybe even to a championship series. But again, we have Cotuit. They're not a team that we can really look over because they put up another double-digit performance tonight in their win against YD.
Yeah, and just looking ahead a little bit, I want to put you in the shoes of Harvey Shapiro. What is your post-game message to this team? You already have the #1 seed locked up. You're going to be at home in the playoffs. This was kind of a tune-up game. You know, some could call it against Hyannis, where you lost by 8 runs. So what's your message in the huddle post-game to try to flip the page from this and be ready to go come Friday?
You know, these guys weren't fired up about this game. I think that's really what it comes down to. A game against Cotuit last night is a preview of the matchup that you're going to have this weekend, and they knew that they had to have some sort of statement there. For a Hyannis Harbor Hawks team, this is a game that was experimental. It was to see who could come in. Kelsey Ward was the starter. He got hit up a bit, but you know, you got to tell your guys who might be looking at 2 potential days off going into the playoffs, as tomorrow there's rain in the forecast coming in for the Falmouth matchup we have tomorrow. But I think if I'm Harvey Shapiro, I'm telling my guys, keep your confidence up, keep your chin up. This wasn't your game, but again, it was a game that Hyannis was loose. They had nothing to lose. It was their last game at home at McKeon Park, and they proved that they were loose and they could really attack the ball, and they were aggressive at the base path. And you know, it's hard to go a season sweep against a team. And Hyannis, after a while, they knew who they could pitch against. As Adam Mayak had one heck of a day. You really don't see that very often. A guy go 6+ innings as the starter.
Yeah.
He did that today, and we really didn't have an opportunity to jump over a bullpen pitcher. So I got to say, if I'm Harvey Shapiro, tell your guys, chins up. We're looking forward to Katuitt. Get yourselves ready for Katuitt because it's going to be one heck of a series.
It's going to be one heck of a series, but one more regular season game remains before that playoff push starts on Friday. That comes tomorrow in Falmouth, and like Daniel said, weather permitting, whether the Bravos and Commodores do battle tomorrow. If they do get on the field, it'll be at 6 o'clock at Gov Fuller Field in Falmouth. Nick and I will get you started on Before the Bravos at 5:40. But until then, as always, go Braves.